Hi, sixth graders. We're on lesson 6.4, which is measurement and changing between customary units and converting from one unit to another. So label your page accordingly, and then our learning target is being able to convert between the different units of measurement. So this table you were given, and it's on the green sheet that you have, so you could pull it out or you could just use this to look at. But I just want you to notice that we have conversions of some common units that we use and that we convert between. So you can see that these units on the left side are larger and these ones are smaller. It's important to know which unit is larger and which unit is smaller. And then we can see 1 foot equals 12 inches. A foot is larger than an inch, and that makes sense then that there's more inches in a foot, because if there's more than one of something that goes into one of another, then that one would be larger. So we know that a foot is larger than an inch. So it's important to know these conversions and to have that green sheet handy with you throughout this entire unit. If we look at all of their relationships above, we can write them as a unit ratio. This would be an important word to write down, and to note that a unit ratio has a denominator of 1. So some examples would be 3 feet in 1 yard, 2,000 pounds in 1 ton, 4 quarts in 1 gallon, 2 pints in 1 quart would be another example. So when the denominator is 1, which we can always make the denominator 1 by finding the unit rate, in which it's also called the unit ratio. So converting from larger units to smaller units, we need to multiply. This would be really, really, really important to write down and circle in your notebooks. So when we say larger units to smaller units, we are literally looking at the units that we are converting. So feet to inches, I know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. I also know that 1 foot is greater than 1 inch. So that means I multiply. So I will take 20, because I have 20 feet, times 12, because there's 12 inches in a foot, and I get 240, and then I label it with inches. Labels are really important. Clarence mixes 1/4 cup of fertilizer with soil before planting each bulb. How many ounces of fertilizer does he use? So I'm going from cups to fluid ounces, and I know that a cup is greater than a fluid ounce, 1 fluid ounce. I also know that 1 cup equals 8 fluid ounces. So I'm going to take 1/4 times 8, and I know that 1/4 times 8 is 2, and then I label it with fluid ounces. So I'm looking at the labels, so just because I have 1/4, which 1/4 is smaller than 8, so it would make sense that you would think it's smaller, but because a cup is bigger than a fluid ounce, that's what we're looking at as our units. So then we multiply. I want you to try these 3 problems, pause me, and then come back and check your answers. So I know that a yard is greater than a foot, and I also know that 1 yard equals 3 feet. Whoops, if I could spell. 1 yard equals 3 feet. So I'm going to take 36, multiply it by 3, and I get 108 feet. I know that a ton is greater than a pound, so I'm going to take 3/4 and multiply it times 2,000, because 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So 3/4 times 2,000 is 1,500 pounds. I know that a quart is greater than a pint, so I take 1 1/2 times 2, because 1 quart equals 2 pints. So 1 1/2 times 2 equals 3 pints. Okay, when we're converting smaller units to larger units, then we need to divide. So another thing that you want to write down and then circle it. Smaller to larger. So now we look at our units. If we want to convert from 15 quarts into gallons, I know that a quart is smaller, than a gallon. And I also know that there's 4 quarts in 1 gallon. And if I have 15 quarts, I'm going to take 15 quarts, I'm going to divide it by 4, because I'm basically dividing it into how many gallons, and 1 gallon equals 4. So 15 divided by 4 equals 3 3/4 gallons. Labels are very, very, very important. I want you to go through and try these 7 problems in your notebook. And follow the exact same steps that I've been doing. Write it out and figure out if it's smaller or larger. Write the actual conversion, and then write the equation and the solution, and then come back and check your answers. So 2,640 feet equals how many miles? So feet is smaller than a mile. So 2,640 divided by 5,280 equals 1/2 of a mile. 100 ounces. So I know that ounces is less than a pound. So also we'll go up here. A foot is less than a mile. So ounces is less than a pound. So that tells me that I'm going to divide. And there's 16 ounces in 1 pound. So I take 100 divided by 16. And I get 6 1/4 pound. 5 pints in a quart, so I know that a pint is smaller than a quart. So I'm going to take, and there's 1 quart in 2 pints. So I'm going to take 5 and divide it by 2, and I get 2 1/2 pints. I'm going to go back to H. 3 cups in a pint. I know that a cup is smaller. I know a cup is smaller than a pint. So I'm going to take 3 and divide it by 2. And I get, I'm going to write my answer right here, 1 1/2 pint. 76 cups equals how many gallons? So this is a multi-step one. I know that a cup is smaller than a gallon, but I also don't have a conversion right off the top of my head of how many cups are in a gallon. I know that there's 2 cups in a pint, and if there's 2 pints in a quart, then I know, that there's 4 pints in a quart. And if there's 4 quarts in a gallon. Then I know that there's 16 cups. Oops, sorry. This should be 4 cups in a quart. So if there's 4 cups in a quart and there's 4 quarts in a gallon, 4 times 4 is 16. So we have 16 cups in 1 gallon. And if I have back to our, I'm going to change the color, back to up here, 76 cups in a gallon, I'm going to take 76 and divide it by 16. And my answer is 4 3/4 gallon. 18 inches in a foot. Inches are smaller than feet. So I take 18. There's 12 inches in a foot. So 18 divided by 12 is going to be 1 1/2 feet. And then we are going to skip the food problem for now. We'll talk about that one in class tomorrow. And then if I have a helicopter that flies at a rate of 158 miles per hour, how many miles per second is this? First of all, we need to figure out how many seconds in an hour. So we're going to take 60 minutes in an hour times 60 seconds per minute, and we get 3,600 seconds per hour. So then the way that we do this is we are going to take, because we're finding out 158 miles per hour, but now we want miles per second. I know that, so the way that we're going to do this, I'm just going to show you. 158 miles over 1 hour, and then we are going to multiply this by 1 hour is the same as 3,600 seconds. And then if we cross multiply to cancel, I can cross off 1 hour and 1 hour. So then I end up with 158 over 3,600, and 158 divided by 3,600 is approximately 400 miles per second. And that makes sense because we're going 158 miles per hour. So we're breaking it down into how far we're going per second. So it should be, it makes sense that it should be a really small number. A swordfish can swim at a rate of 60 miles per hour. How many feet per hour is this? So I'm going to rewrite this here. We have 60 miles per hour. How many feet per hour is this? So what we want to do, it's asking us to convert 60 miles into how many feet? Miles is greater than feet, so that tells me that we multiply. So we're going to take 60 and we're going to multiply it by 5,280, and we get 316,800 feet per hour. Pause me really quick and do this problem right here, and then come back and check your answer. So Ava walks at a speed of 7 feet per second. How many feet per hour is this? So we have 7 feet per second, and we just found out that there's 36. Oh, sorry, we're converting seconds to hours. So I know that there is 3,600 seconds in an hour. So because we converted 1 hour into 3,600 seconds. A second is, or sorry, oh my gosh, a second is smaller than an hour. But because we want to convert, or because we want to know how many total feet she goes in an hour, we are going to take 7. So for every second that she walks, she goes 7 feet. So we're going to take 7 and we're going to multiply it by 3,600, and we have 25,200 feet per hour. Every second she walks 7 feet, so therefore in an hour she walks 25,200 feet. 25,200 feet. So I also have to talk myself through problems. These are hard problems. These are confusing. So you need to just slow down and you need to think about the units and make sure that you're converting them the right way. We will go through these again a lot in class tomorrow because I know it's a little bit tricky. Naiku, and do your 6-4 Naiku quiz. And then also remember, you can go back and rewatch the video. You can look in your textbook because there's lots of good examples in there. There's some personal tutor videos online, and also make sure that you have your notes for class tomorrow to add to them as we go through it in class. Have a wonderful evening.